Welcome officially to the Talks with Ada B show. I'm your host here, Ada B. It's going to be an interesting show. There's a lot to talk about. There's actually so much to talk about. Like, I feel like I have been reading and watching so many things that have been going on in different pockets of entertainment, and I'm just like, what is really happening in the world right now? I don't know. But before I even get into that, obviously you're going to notice there's a little bit of a gap next to me. And so I want to address that and be very as transparent as necessary. So obviously, you know, I introduced you guys to Joe as my co-host, who was my friend, and actually who, you know, was introduced to me. Actually, no, how I was introduced to Joe was, I think it was almost 2 years ago now. Or might even, I don't even know how long it's been. Yeah, I think it might have been 2 years ago. Because he also has a podcast called Real Soulful, so you can go and check that out as well after this radio show, of course. And so he invited me to be a guest on there after seeing me on the 90s Baby Show network. So from there, a friendship was established, and he's been on the show here a couple of times, so you wouldn't have been a stranger to his face if you were a regular listener. Not his face, sorry, to his voice, but also his face, I guess, if you follow the socials as well. And so, you know, when I was looking for a co-host, a lot of you were like, girl, that's your co-host, you know? So, you know, we gave it a good go, but he's a young man, he's very talented, he's got a lot of things going for him, so unfortunately he cannot commit at the moment, but we are not closing that door. We are still being very hopeful that Joe will one day make time for us here at Talks with Ada B, and I know that he'll be happy to return as a guest at any time, you know, that he can. But yeah, I just thought I'd address that first, so you're not just like, what happened to the co-host child? There's no beef, there's no animosity. Everybody's just really hardworking, and I love that. I love that you know, meeting and being around people that are just on their grind, you know, that just want to do great things and achieve great things. So I'm always going to support that first and foremost. So yeah, that's that on that. We can now get into the first topic, because I've got a lot to say about this British government. But I'm not going to say it, because I always say to you guys, if you've listened to this show long enough, I always say I want to talk about politics, but not so much, because it's not that kind of show. Okay, yes, I want y'all to learn something. I want y'all to go. I need to stop saying y'all, first of all, because I'm not American, but cool. But I want you guys to obviously do your research and, you know, find out what's going on. So that's why I still mention things as a way to hopefully prompt you to be like, you know what, let me go and find out what's actually going on. Because it's good to be in the know, you know, especially if you are currently living in Britain. It has been a bit of a skip these last couple of years. Like, honestly, since this government have come into place, it has just been one thing after another. Like, we have not known rest since this government came into place. I literally thought Brexit was the worst that it could get, and they are determined to top that, because I just don't understand. I mean, we've gone from Boris to Liz to Rishi in like what just feels like such a short amount of time, and we still I'm still waiting for there to be some kind of explanation about and further understanding about, you know, what are the repercussions for some of the actions that were taken, particularly during the pandemic, because we were condemned. Okay, the general public were condemned for doing basic things like going to the shop. Okay, it was like, why are you leaving your house? There is a whole virus. But our beloved MPs were throwing lavish parties. We're taking private jets to different countries. They did not stop living their lives, but they were telling us if we dared to live our lives, that we would be fined. Okay, and that we would be at risk of not only catching the virus, but spreading it and potentially killing other people. It was some wild times, yo. They really, really just messed with our life. Like, those 2 years that they took from us, you know, I just say, you know what, God is a redeemer. God is a redeemer. So I know he's going to restore them 2 years that this government took from me. Because those 2 years were just, it was nonsensical. It was a joke. They put us in lockdown too late, first of all. Okay, it was March. I remember when we had to like just get up from work, like it wasn't even the end of the working day, and they're like, yeah, we just have to go home because lockdown rules are taking effect from now, so just take all your stuff and go. And I was just thinking, is this it? Is this the apocalypse? Like, what is going on? And we just never saw the office for 2 years after that. It was just bizarre. And then they released us in July and said eat out to help out, and then put us back in lockdown in October. This is in 2020, by the way. And then what else did they do? Oh yeah, and then put us back into lockdown. I think it was in October or September. I think it was end of September, beginning of October. And then released us a little bit in December. And then just before Christmas put us back into lockdown. Like, they were really mocking our lives. But I digress. That's as far as this political conversation is going. But if you don't know that Liz Truss is no longer Prime Minister and Rishi is now Prime Minister, that is your ding 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 moment to go and Google something on your phone. Okay? Yeah, I'm prayerful, I'm hopeful, and I'm just going to leave it to God because, yeah. I remember there was a time I actually wanted to do politics. I'm so glad I changed my mind at the last minute. My A-level subjects, let me tell you what they originally were before I changed them. Not that you really need to know, but I want to share it. So, my original A-level subjects were English literature, politics, business, and Spanish. Let me tell you, I think the first day, when you go into all the classes, you get an introduction to the teacher, they give you an introduction to the lesson. I said, I don't think I even made it to the end of the day. I said, I want to change my classes. Immediately I want to change these subjects because there's no way I'm going to spend the next 2 years studying this stuff. Like, there's just no way. I just knew, I said, no, it's not for me. It's not for me. And I love Spanish and I love English. So I really wanted to do literature, but I ended up changing to language, and then I just did sociology instead and history, which I'm very glad because all of those subjects really complemented each other really, really well. And I loved it. It was a great time. Oh, and I also did drama and theatre studies. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, I was just thinking, if I took those subjects, I don't know what my life would have been, honestly. I can't tell you. I might have been a Tory MP. Kanye West. I hope you are uncomfortable because it's a lot. If you didn't see the interview that basically sparked his cancellation, like, this is not black Twitter cancellation. This is elite 1% class bourgeois cancellation, as in when they've cancelled you, there's nowhere to go from here because they're the ones who pay the checks. They're the ones that make the money go around. So if they say we ain't sponsoring that, then it's pretty much a wrap from there. But if we take it back a bit, Kanye West has been doing and saying some very problematic stuff. And when Trump ran for office and Kanye West was running around behind him, that for me was a major red flag, because the things that Trump had been saying, to me, I was like, if you are the musical genius that you are and you think that this is the man that you want to run around and rally behind, I'm genuinely concerned. If racists support you, you have to question what you're doing. You have to question something, because you're like, are you supporting me because you're trying to change your way of thinking? Or are you supporting me because you think that I'm going to advocate for your way of thinking? And I for me, a lot of people saying, Kanye's a genius, he knows what he's doing, like, they love that rhetoric online. Kanye's a genius, trust me, this is all part of his plan. I don't think going from a billionaire to a millionaire and possibly from a millionaire to a thousandaire was part of Kanye's plan. Okay, I don't really think so. But go off. But yeah, for me, when he was running behind Trump and he was wearing the MAGA hat and all of that, I just thought we might have lost this man for good. I think we've lost him. For me, at that point, I was like, I wasn't already, like I said, I kind of already stopped becoming a fan because he was already saying and doing some really weird stuff. But I think that for me was like, yeah, I'm definitely never checking for Kanye again. Like, that's done. Oh, I lie actually, because he had that song with Kanye Minaj. Wow. Kanye Minaj, I don't even know. With Nicki Minaj, called New Body, featuring Ty Dolla $ign, but that never came out. And I was praying and hoping it would come out because I absolutely love that song. Nicki absolutely bodies her verse in that. Like, that was a brilliant track. And I was thinking they were going to do, like, it was going to be a whole thing, as in, like, they were going to have a music video and everything, and it just never happened. So just had to kind of do with the YouTube leak. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I have not searched for Kanye music or anything Kanye related. Everything I know about Kanye has been forced on me until obviously this most recent incident where I was like, okay, I actually have to go watch the interview now. And I actually have to go and watch other interviews he's done and actually try and see, like, how did we get here? But for me, I think that was the first sign of madness, when he was running behind Donald Trump wearing the MAGA hat, and he was even claiming that he wanted to run for presidency. I was like, sir, are you for real? But I mean, to be fair, Donald Trump, reality TV star, become president, I get it. Like, as he said, make America great again. If a reality TV star can be the president of the United States and of the free world, then why can't Kanye West at this point? You know what I mean? So I kind of saw where he, where that thought came from, but at the same time I was like, no, sir, like, this is no. So I don't know if he thought running behind the president and trying to gain all these like political friends was going to kind of put him in that group of people where he could have that kind of influence, especially because he was now establishing himself as being more than just a rapper. He was this businessman with great ideas that was successful at making other big corporations lots of money. So I think if he felt, maybe he felt like if I establish myself in these white spaces, then I have a better chance of running for presidency. So maybe that was part of his plan. Maybe that was genuinely part of his plan and that's how he saw it. I don't know. But, he didn't end there. He went on to the Breakfast Club talking about slavery was a choice. But nobody cancelled him. Bear in mind, nobody cancelled him. There were a few people that were angry. People said, yeah, I can't really support Kanye, cool. But he wasn't cancelled. It just somehow made him more popular. And I feel like since then, we've just seen so much and heard so much of Kanye. It's just insane. Now, his relationship with Kim Kardashian, as we know, has just been one roller coaster ride. Like, I don't know why those two ever got to... I mean, I kind of do now. I do think it was very much a business move for both of them. I think it was very strategic. They both wanted to be in certain positions. So it was all about how they were able to be positioned in terms of economically. This was a way of Kanye being able to experiment and for him to also grow and prove himself as being this kind of like staple designer, stylist, fashion mogul, as well as being a businessman and an entrepreneur. And I guess having a white woman kind of solidified that for him as well and allowed him to be in those spaces with ease. So that whole situation in itself, that whole relationship, that dynamic, if you ever watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you would have seen that dynamic. And it was just very odd. To me, it was always odd. The wedding was beautiful. The proposal was like really cute. But the marriage itself, just watching it from like the show, to me, there was nothing to romanticize there. It was very weird. It was very weird watching the relationship play out. But yeah, cool. So that happened. We move on. Kanye, he's doing well with Yeezy. He's supposed to be getting in partnerships with Gap. He's got his Donda Academy and he's got his whole basketball team and he's trying to get these kids to be in the NBA and whatnot. Kanye's moved a lot. You're thinking, right, he's become a billionaire. Like, this is amazing. Okay, maybe he's gonna start to redeem himself. Maybe some of those conversations he's been having, maybe he's starting to realize the errors of his ways. Maybe he's going to come around and he's going to go back to being the Kanye that we all knew and loved in the early 2000s. And he said no. He said white lives matter. And I'm trying to think when we said white lives didn't matter. Who said that? I don't know where in history it's ever been said that white lives don't matter. I think it's very evident in history and present day that white lives do matter. They matter a whole lot, okay? So I thought for him to choose to create a White Lives Matter line for his Yeezy fashion show in Paris Fashion Week was extremely weird. This was just weird behavior. And to have Candace White, who, if you're, you follow kind of American kind of journalism, you'll know that she's quite another controversial, problematic black person, who has this very alternative, quote unquote, views. But yeah, she, her modeling it, I just felt like they just wanted that controversy. They wanted people to talk about it. They wanted it to be a moment, which it was, but I don't think it was the moment that he thought it was going to be. So there are some artists that don't want to let go. And I do wonder sometimes, do artists have a retirement age? Is there a time to like bow out gracefully? Because Tank, he's one of, like, to me, in my opinion, one of the R&B legends. Like, he has stayed true to the genre from day one. That man has consistently put out quality R&B albums, not just like singles or hits here and there, like quality albums. Like, the replay value, if you're an R&B head and you love R&B, is just phenomenal. Tank, to me, is one of those singers that from very early, when I first heard him, I was like, wow, I hope he sings for the rest of my life. Because I want that at my wedding. Like that voice to me, I don't know, it's something about his voice and the way that he's so able to like articulate all different kinds of emotions and feelings through his voice, let alone his pen game is otherworldly to me. Like I love, I don't think there's a Tank song I don't love, just because, you know, the penmanship is there. Like you can see this is a man who has lived. This is a man who's been through some things. He has loved hard and he has lost a lot, but he's also gained a lot, and he has really poured that into his music. And I feel like as an avid listener, as a fan, I have genuinely over the years really come to just really be so grateful to his contributions to music. And I assume that's how many people feel about Nicki Minaj, because when she came in, she was a breath of fresh air. She was exciting. She was just, you know, outspoken. You know, she was bold, and she really owned the 2000s. Like, it was all her. Don't get me wrong, there were other rap girls. There were. But they weren't doing what Nicki Minaj was doing. Let's just be honest. They just weren't. Right? So it's interesting to see how there's now a plethora of hip-hop rap girls, and they all seem to be fighting Nicki Minaj. And I'm like, is Nicki, at first I was like, is Nicki the problem or are these new girls the problem? Because some of these new artists just, they don't want to work, they just want to blow overnight, they're not that talented, they, you know, and honestly, it's really clout that's just made them pop, but the actual music itself isn't there. There's no substance, there's no quality to it, right? You've got a few gems in there, absolutely, but a lot of them, if we're being honest, they ain't that good. Nicki Minaj, you know, it's really, really interesting to kind of see her kind of just like battle the industry, but also battle all of these new girls, because I really thought she would have been like, I don't know, she never really struck me as a girl's girl, and I guess maybe that is because she has kind of just been the leading woman in hip-hop for such a long time. But maybe also it's just her personality. There are some girls that just aren't girls. But also I thought she'd be a girl's girl because when she came into the industry, there was that tension between her and Lil' Kim, wasn't there? There was that time when they were kind of going tit for tat a little bit, and you know, Nicki Minaj was like, sis, you should be happy that I'm paying homage to you. You should be happy. I think this was actually her Hot 97 interview that she did a while back. Years back, so you could probably still find that on YouTube or something. But yeah, I remember her just, you know, kind of talking like, yeah, basically saying that Lil' Kim should be happy that, you know, when everybody mentions thinks of Nicki Minaj, they think of Lil' Kim, because it's what's keeping you relevant, it's what's getting you booked, it's what's making people go back and listen to your music, because they're like, okay, this new rapper Nicki Minaj, she's amazing, and everyone's saying she's like Lil' Kim, let's go find out who Lil' Kim is. So Nicki Minaj was like, we're doing both of each other a favor. I'm paying homage to you and I'm giving you your respect, but give it to me as well, because I'm good at what I do, and what I do is still giving back to you in different ways. It's still keeping your name out there. But you know how Nicki Minaj talks, so you know the way she said it was a bit like, you know, it was a bit of fun shade and whatever. But I guess at the time everybody was like, we can see where you're coming from, but do you also see where Lil' Kim is coming from? And she was just like, no. She's like, I don't know why there's haters, I don't know why people are so bitter, like it's like the old generation don't really want to, you know, support the new generation. And then I'm like, fast forward to 2022 and all the new girls are tussling the old generation, which in this case would be Nicki Minaj. I mean, it's kind of ironic. But also, I do feel like, putting her personal life aside for a minute, and some of her decisions in her personal life to the side, Nicki Minaj has had a fantastic career. Like, fantastic. Like, she has been a Billboard top chart hitter for over a decade. Like, that cannot go unnoticed. That cannot go unspoken about. Okay? Nicki Minaj was the girl that she thought she was. Absolutely. I'm not going to use present tense because I do feel like, and I don't know what it is about the artists of the 2000s, like they're on a mission to single-handedly destroy their careers. I'm like, you need to take notes from the people in the 90s. Like, you see, they're still getting booked and bagged because they're not in the media every day doing something or arguing with somebody. Like, just know when to sit down sometimes, know when to keep quiet. It's not every day get on Twitter. My advice goes same way for Cardi B. Cardi B spends way too much time beefing with bloggers and people on Twitter. Like, girl, you're a superstar. Like, literally, you can just post your mansion and go. Like, I don't know why you need to be in the Twitter streets fighting with everybody that says something that you don't like. But Nicki Minaj, honestly, I understand her gripe with the industry. You know, how she hasn't received a Grammy is beyond me. And actually, when I think about it, there are a lot of artists that actually haven't received a Grammy that absolutely deserve a Grammy. But we'll talk about that in another show, because I think that actually needs to be a topic in itself, right? But Nicki Minaj not having a Grammy is just insane to me, because this woman has done what I'm sure even the women before her only dreamed of, right? And it is thankful to them that they've opened up doors that even allowed Nicki Minaj to have the level of success that she's had. But I do feel like her being mad at the new girls is, it's kind of like you're directing your energy at the wrong people. The new girls aren't the people you need to be mad at. You need to stay mad at the industry, because they're the ones that are blackballing you. They're the ones that are not giving you your flowers. It's not the new girls, because the new girls, whether it's sincere or not, they have always kind of stated Nicki Minaj as one of their influences, as one of their idols. Whether that is, again, like I said, sincere or not, I don't know. But they have always mentioned Nicki Minaj. So they have paid homage to her. They have made the newer generation find out, who the hell is Nicki Minaj? What is this Nicki Minaj? Let's listen to her music, since all the new girls keep talking about Nicki Minaj. And so they're doing the same things that she, you know, she said she was doing for Lil' Kim. So, you know, she shouldn't be too mad. But her recent kind of spat with Latto, to me, I was just like, Latto, I think she's like 23 or 24, I don't know. I'm like, why are you literally going back and forth with a 23, 24-year-old? Like, why? Why? Like, why? I just feel like, from the point I know their age, I know how long she's been in the industry, you know, she's just starting out. Like, even for her, like, can she just think back to when she was on her journey, and when she was, you know, coming up at that age, like how she may have thought and how she may have felt at that time. And, you know, she's reaching out to her idol, or maybe her idol don't want to feature with her, because that was an ongoing thing with Latto and Nicki Minaj. You know, Latto has been trying to get Nicki Minaj to feature on one of her tracks, and Nicki Minaj has just been like, nah. And I'm not being funny, no diss to Latto. Again, to me, I'm like, maybe it's just not my style of rap, let me say that, because I don't want to say she can't rap, because I think she's okay, but yeah, I couldn't listen to any song of hers. Like, I actually have tried, and I can't do it. So maybe Nicki Minaj is feeling the same way. Like, girl, listen, I'm glad you're making your money, you're doing your thing, but I can't be on a track that I don't like. I don't really, you know, like, I don't like it. It just is what it is. So I think Latto was definitely feeling some way about that, because I mean, I think she was meant to get Nicki Minaj on Big Energy, and it ended up being, which I can, when you think about it, if you hear Big Energy now, like, just think about Big Energy. If you haven't heard the song, you can quickly YouTube that and hear it. When you think of Big Energy, I think you can think Nicki Minaj, right? Like, I definitely can think Nicki Minaj. I can hear Nicki Minaj. It sounds like something Nicki Minaj would have done in her pop era.